Her 9000's Game Room.
So once again I'm talking about a Capcom Super Nintendo game. It's not surprising when you consider the fact that Capcom did a heck of a lot for the machine. And then you can add to that the fact that I happen to own a fair few of their games. Certain companies are just well known for producing great games, and if you produce great games, hopefully they make lots of money, which leads to the company having the funds to make even more. And back in the SNES days, if you saw a Capcom logo on a box, it was pretty much a guarantee that the game would be worth your attention. For those who owned a NES, the Megaman games were kind of special. They were hard, challenging, but also good. The only complaint that could be raised about them, really, was that with so many sequels and the format staying the same, the idea was being milked a little dry. Still, that's the main complaint that could be levelled at Capcom as a whole. When they have something worth selling, they grab hold of its teats and milk the idea, the franchise, for all it's worth. Just look at how many times Street Fighter 2 was pumped out with speed increases, new characters and balancing tweaks. Capcoms are kind of the masters of this sort of idea. I've mentioned before that when I'm collecting retro games, I look for ones from various categories, including ones I've owned before as a kid, ones friends owned, and ones I'd only heard about. Well, one of my friends owned Megaman X, one and only one friend. But it was one of his favourite games, so we would play it basically every time I was over at his house, and this went on for several months. We never did finish it, and there was something mildly annoying about having to pass the pad to someone after dying, especially when you were more or less certain you'd just learned through your own failure exactly what you needed to smash this latest boss, and instead of trying, here you were going, it's your turn. In short, Mega Man X is close to being the perfect platforming shooter. It takes everything great about the amazing NES Mega Man games and adds the super touch to them: better, brighter graphics, great soundtrack, extra power-ups, well-hidden secrets, the introduction of Zero, the coolest character to ever hit a Mega Man game. I mean, who played this game and didn't wish that they were Zero because of the amount of coolness he just oozed? I was kind of surprised at the time that this game wasn't given the Super name treatment, but I'm very glad that it did not. After all, Mega Man X sounds far cooler than Super Mega Man would have. If you've ever played one of the NES titles, then you will know exactly what to expect. You work your way through a level until you get to the boss. You fight the boss, and if you beat him, you get his weapon. You can take on the levels in any order you like, and this adds some strategy to proceedings, as you start to think about what weapon you would like to have in order to take on a certain boss. So for example, if you want a fire weapon to fight an ice boss, then you will have to do the level with the fire boss in it first. A lot of the extra power-ups, the hidden ones, seem to be put in places where they would be found by the curious. I often found them when I said something on the lines of, "Oh, I wonder if I could," before trying something on a whim. This is great, it makes the game seem like it is filled with almost limitless possibilities. I remember a lot of us did think the X was referring to 10. Even when they referred to the Mega Man in the game as X, this never really sunk in. Sure, he might have been called X, but the name on the box was still supposed to mean Mega Man 10, right? It was only when X2 came out that everyone seemed to go, what, not 11? Okay, so X was X, and of course this was ultimately really hammered home when not too long back we actually got a Mega Man game called Mega Man 10. Okay, so the only real complaint I have with this game is the password system, which is pretty decent, but I'd have preferred a battery save. The best thing is though that the game is challenging and even tough in places, making you invent new swear words to use at the bosses, but never does it feel like it's the game's fault you've lost. You always feel that if you die you're to blame and you will do better next time. Couple this with how fun the game is and you have the perfect reason to game into the early hours. It's good to see how many times over the years this has been ported and re-released onto different systems. It means a lot of people will have played the game who otherwise might not have been exposed to it. The game can be a little costly to buy for the SNES, and I've seen PAL copies go for amounts I don't care to think of. You can pay like 50 quid just for a cart. If you can play in ports, you should be able to get an American copy, cart only, for around £35, which is what mine is. The PSP version, which is a remaster, can be got for around the £15 mark complete last time I checked. So if you own a PSP, that's not a bad way to go. There has also been a whole load of Mega Man X Legacy releases, especially digitally on things like the Xbox One, the PS4, the Switch. So that's a way to get a lot of the X games at a reasonable price if you're more into the playing than the collecting. Anyway, if I was to give this game a score, I'd give it 9 out of 10. It's a cracking game. Yet another time Capcom knocked it out of the park, and I'd be happy to see more Mega Man any day on any platform. He's just a good, solid game character who is the star of many, many great games. Okay, that's Kerr9000 signing off saying keep on gaming.